What's going on, guys? Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about All In Special. Um, this book is pretty ambitious, and it's a one shot, and it's basically the launching pad for the All In movement that is coming up from DC Comics. And um, the main part is going to be the absolute titles that are, coming out very soon, starting with Absolute Batman, then Absolute Superman, and Absolute Wonder Woman. And this is, that's the gist of it. This is the launching pad for it, this special here. And it's a pretty thick book, um, pretty good looking book, great art in it, very nifty. It has two main stories, and the book is cut in half. And one story is called Alpha, the second story is called Omega, and it's basically written by Scott Snyder and Josh Williamson. Both are no strangers to DC Comics. Um, Snyder has done a lot of work for DC Comics. He worked on on Batman. He has a very well popular run on Batman that he did. He did Superman Unchained, and he also wrote the Justice League. Josh Williamson has done more current work for DC Comics. Currently writing the main Superman titles. A lot of major crossover events. He did the crossover event, the Crisis crossover event from last year. So these two are pretty DC universe savvy, if you will, and so they know what they're doing. Let me speak on this before I move on. I haven't been happy with DC Comics as of late, overall, and even worse were Marvel Comics, and the independent companies have been doing better with the properties they have. But DC Comics and Marvel Comics, and I've said it a million times at this point, they being infiltrated by the whole DEI thing, the whole woke thing, the whole messaging, the whole feminist thing being inserted in just about everything right now, not only comic books but also video games, movies, major motion pictures, films, streaming shows, um, you know and but I've continued to hang on because I love comic books. I love Superman, I love Batman, I love Spider-Man, I love the Hulk. I've been collecting comic books throughout most of my life, and I love the concept of comic books. I love superheroes, the concept of the superhero. Um, I love all that stuff. I'm an aspiring artist myself. I hope to one day, um, be able to launch my own graphic novel. I have characters that I created and stuff like that. And but the whole thing, the whole messaging, the whole turning everybody gay, the whole modern uh, readers, just you know, there's a lot of characters currently just being completely destroyed by well-known writers, and I understand when these writers do that because these writers gotta make a living, and main culprits are people like Tom King, Tom Taylor. These two are complete superhero killers, in my opinion. Um, then there's other writers out there doing the same thing, and they just gotta abide by the rules. Even Jonathan Hickman, a very well known Marvel Comics writer, is doing it. And I come to the conclusion that these writers are just doing what they are being forced to do. They gotta insert these things. No longer is it a question of story first, it's more of message first and story second, you know. And so things haven't been that good for DC Comics. They've been some jewels, and I mentioned them, and I made videos about them, and they're there. You can watch them. Launches, titles, miniseries that they're doing well in, and but for the most part, overall, the whole messaging thing, the whole deconstructing the superheroes and turning them gay and gender swapping and all that stuff, it drives me up the wall. It drives me nuts. And so I just wanted to give that little backstory about where I'm at with DC Comics. And I know the Absolute Power series just finished, and this comes right off of that series. And that series was it wasn't that bad. It was pretty good actually. Visually, it was pretty stunning. Dan Mora is basically the most worked uh, illustrator in DC Comics right now, but he does great work. He does great work, and he makes things look beautiful. And his artwork in Absolute Power was just amazing. I just had a problem, and that was Mark Way, who usually keeps messaging out of his stories. He made Amanda Waller, of all characters in the DC universe, of all supervillains, amazing supervillains in the DC universe, he made Amanda Waller bring every major superhero in the DC universe to their knees. She stripped them of their powers, and she did things to them, and if that woman is still hasn't been killed, because I haven't read the last issue of Absolute Power yet, is still around, then all these DC superheroes are just inept idiots, let me tell you. But let's just move on. Let's talk about All In Special, which is launching the All In movement, and that's launching the Absolute titles coming out next week, and farther in the future. They're going to start with Absolute Batman, and they're going to start then with Absolute Superman and Absolute Wonder Woman. And this is going to be like a dark universe, a universe where superheroes are stripped of everything that makes them well known, of their classic traditional origins, and they're gonna flip them and make them disturbing, um, almost villain like superheroes. And that's using the term superheroes uh, lightly here, because they're not looking like superheroes. And this series actually talks about it. I had to read this All In special, twice to understand what Snyder and Williamson are setting up here. So the first storyline is called Alpha, and it's by Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder. The artist is Daniel Sampere, and the colors are Alejandro Sanchez. And there's the centerfold by Dan Mora, and letters by Steve Wands, and the colors by Tamra Bonvillain. So we start with, you know, the Justice League is basically back, and they just built the ultimate calling card, and this calling card, for some reason, is just a technological super calling card that is gonna fuse with every superhero and their powers, and a lot of rules are being broken in this story, let me say, and a lot of things raise more questions that I would care to have. But the story is very entertaining. I'm not gonna go all crazy with it, all evil, all hater, because the story is actually pretty ambitious, and I like it, and it's very entertaining. Sampere make things look very awesome, very cool, and it's ambitious. The concept, everything, you know, there's rules being broken, but it's not that bad. Let's move on. Okay, so they're building this card, and according to Superman's inner dialogue, the card is a super card. The super calling card is technologically advanced. Just about everybody touched it. Thanagarian technology, Kryptonian technology, Green Lantern technology, and all the magicians blessed it, whatever that means. And each card is an invitation card that is also going to be sent to every major superhero in the DC universe. And Superman's here shown flying, and he's going through, all the events, all the major events that have been going on in DC Comics in the last 3 years, basically. Then we see every superhero's reaction. Some of the superheroes' reaction, like Starfire says yes when she receives that invitation membership card. Blue Beetle Reyes says it's an honor. It is, but am I ready? Question number one. This one. I'm gonna be raising the questions as I go along. Okay. Can we move on from this? Can we move on from Blue Beetle Reyes questioning himself at this point? This kid has been questioning himself and his role and being the amateurish new guy for 10 plus years at this point. Let's move on from that. Let's do something different with Reyes, please. Speedy says, I'm back, baby. Robot Man says, I got things to worry about. I got another team. He's talking about Doom Patrol, obviously. He's basically the leader of that team. Metamorpho says, maybe not for me. The last time I was with the team didn't work out too well. Supergirl says, damn straight. Supergirl, for some reason, likes to sound like a trucker now, and I despise her suit, her turtleneck cover everything suit. She's looking more like Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel from the Marvel comics, and that's not a compliment. I'm not giving you a compliment, Supergirl. Robin, Damian just throws the card away. Again, concern. Question number two. Can we move on from Damian being an asshole? He's been an ass. He's been the asshole kid, the asshole Robin for over 10 years now. It's time to move on. Change the attitude a little bit. Superheroes are supposed to be inspiring. They're supposed to be kind. They're supposed to be heroic. Hence the word hero in superhero. Yes, I know superheroes cannot be perfect. They can't all be Superman. They have personalities, they have flaws and stuff, but change it up a little bit. It's been way too long at this point. Change it up a little bit on Damian Wayne and Blue Beetle Reyes. Fire and Ice are happy. They got an invitation. They got a card. And again, these two characters were recently part of a very atrocious miniseries that I can't even bother to mention. But I just mentioned it. But if you heard of it, it was atrocious. Don't even go there. I don't recommend it. And this, this 2-pager here, it's Booster Gold getting his invitation, his card from Superman himself. Superman wanted to give it to him face to face, and Daniel Samperes makes Booster Gold look amazing. Not a lot of artists make Booster Gold look amazing. Dan Jurgens, who created Booster Gold, is one of them. Dan Mora is another, and Daniel Sampere, especially this splash panel here, that looks pretty amazing. Sampere is just doing amazing work here. Visually, this special is just out of the ballpark. They hit a home run. It looks beautiful. Very happy to see this exchange between Superman and Booster Gold. They go over a lot, their history together, how they have seen how they view each other throughout their history, and it's obvious that Booster Gold is gonna play a major part in this storyline. So Snyder and Williamson are very detailed and very careful about Booster Gold and referencing his origins and stuff. And I loved it. I loved it. Let's move on because this is a big, big story. Again, we're looking at the alpha side of this special. Remember, I mentioned there's two stories, Alpha and Omega. So much like in the 90s cartoon, the Justice League will have a base in space, a watchtower, and just about everybody is showing up. And Green Lantern Corps, the other Robin, everybody's showing up. Everybody that got a card. Um, question number 3. Concern number 3. Uh, of something that doesn't make sense. And you might have seen our head of security the question walking the halls. Again, it doesn't make sense. Renee Montoya, I believe that's her being the question nowadays, even though Vic Sage is the question to me, will always be. But, Renee Montoya is not any computer savvy person that I know of. What would she know about heading security in a space station? Nothing at all. There's nothing in her credentials that would make her any type of security specialist. She's a street cop, not a very good one, and she's the question, and she's not a very good question, and she's kind of deranged. She doesn't think clearly at times. Um, just the wrong character to be the head of security for the Justice League. That in itself doesn't make sense. Again, it's one of those things of giving every female character some type of leadership role, some kind of important role, just to make us readers remember that women can do things as well. It's one of those things. Um, the tone of the book is pretty good. It's big in scope. It's setting things up, and the Justice League is talking about how they're gonna be doing things from now on. One of the things, another concern, another question that comes to mind is um, who's the leader? That cartoon handled this very well. There was structure. This team needs to be structured, and I guess that's going to be referenced when the Justice League Unlimited series comes out, and I believe that's going to be written by Mark Waid and penciled by Dan Mora. Definitely going to get that book. But, you know, in this particular special, uh, at one point, Mr. Terrific sounds like he's the leader. Superman sounds like he's the leader. Wonder Woman talks like she's the leader. Um, you know, Batman sounds like he's giving orders around. This is gonna be a huge team, a huge movement type of thing. So not everybody can be the leader, and I hope Snyder and Williamson understand this. Not everybody can lead and voice orders around and try to be in control. There's rules to the thing. Anyways, suddenly Darkseid shows up and he's attacking everybody. He's attacking everybody except Batman. Batman's never attacked. For some reason, when this major bad guys show up, they start shooting, but they don't shoot at Batman. And Darkseid's looking kind of weird. Superman says Darkseid has bonded with the Spectre. How he knows this just from a few minutes, a few moments of Darkseid showing up, I'm not sure. If that's the case, Darkseid has gone from brutal apocalypse to death itself. That's a big, big concern of mine. I did not know that Darkseid had the power to bond with the Spectre. The Spectre is the wrath of God in the DC universe. He's one of DC's most powerful, if not the most powerful being in the DC universe. But we'll get back to that later on. Again, this series looks amazing. Um, the action is great. Superheroes get together, and I'm not gonna get into all the details, but the action's pretty good. Um, you know, Darkseid basically self-destruct in this sequence, and he leaves a lot of most of the superheroes or most of the team with questions. Where is he? What happened to him? Did he die? What's going on? And Orion is suddenly in the picture, and they're asking Orion because if you know the lore, if you know continuity, Orion is actually Darkseid's son. And Orion is sounding very, very much like a regular uh, office guy here. He's like, my father is not an apocalypse. I have spoken to my contacts, and there has been no sign of him since the attack. What's your take on this? Batman asks. Darkseid is a constant. All creation needs Darkseid. If he is truly gone, the universe will create a new one. You see, this is the writers again breaking the rules. Who That has never been the case with Darkseid. It's never been that has never been. It's not common knowledge that if Darkseid dies, a new one comes out. But I digress. Let's continue. I must return to New Genesis and consult with Highfather to learn more. Batman says, report back when you do. We have our own lead. Again, let's keep in mind what characters we're playing with here. Batman, Orion is not usually a guy that takes orders from Batman, even if he's going to join the league. Again, they're not a league yet. They're not a set team yet. So why is Batman giving orders to Orion like this? But let's continue. Like I said, I was gonna mention little concerns like that, little questions like that that are raised from the dialogue here. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to take in. Wonder Woman. I thought that in her own continuity, Wonder Woman was at odds with the U.S. government. I guess the Justice League doesn't give a shit about that. She's part of the team. She's also barking orders around. Bottom line is, I'm not agreeable with all the voices being given to the superheroes in this special. But nonetheless, I'm enjoying the story. I enjoy the action. I enjoy the scope of the story. I'm enjoying it so far. I'm liking it. I'm loving it, actually. Um, like I said, I knew Booster Gold was going to come into play in this story. I was afraid that he was going to get killed. Thankfully, he doesn't get killed. He volunteers to go see what's going on because there's a rift there, and it has to do with time, and he's the current resident time traveler specialist. So they send him, and they're okay with just sending him. It would have been cool if he would have gone with someone else to help him out, but they send him, and Booster Gold jumps through this portal, and he's all of a sudden in another reality. Skeet's not with him, and he's trying to see what's going on. He notices a gigantic looking Darkseid, and Darkseid's wearing a ring. Kind of looks like a legionary ring, and from all indications, Darkseid has created a team of super beings that look a lot like the Legion of Superheroes. So he has his own legion of super beings. And look at them. They look like doppelgangers of the Legion of Superheroes. only with the Omega symbol that belongs to Darkseid. And this is illustrated by Dan Mora. It looks beautiful, pretty good stuff. And then after that, we jump to the Omega half of the story. And for that, you flip the book around, and voila, it becomes another comic book. And this second part, the Omega part, is also written by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson. Artist is Wes Craig, colors Mike Spicer, letter Steve Wands. And this is the other half of the story. This half of that shows how Darkseid eventually ended up attacking the Justice League. And it turns out that for some reason or other, the whole multiverse resets and all that stuff that's been going on in the DC universe lately has affected Darkseid in a weird way. He's restless and he wants to know what's going on, and he wants to build something called a miracle machine, and it requires blood from him. It requires his hand. He cuts off his hand, and over here you see the machine saying a bonding process has to be completed be, has to be completed before the story before this miracle machine is usable for Darkseid. And you know Darkseid's people show up: Kalibak, his son, the female Furies, and the whole New Gods, and they're all worried. They're all like, Darkseid, what's going on with you? You're acting very weird. What's up with you? You're not yourself. And Darkseid says, yes, I'm not myself. I don't feel myself. I need to do something. He's not happy with his place in the universe, and all of a sudden he starts abusing his own people. He starts telling them he doesn't need them. Get the fuck away from me. I'm not happy. And he kills his son Kalibak in order to complete the bonding for the machine. And the machine becomes reality, and it's a miracle machine. And Darkseid just goes crazy, starts killing everybody, and he goes on a quest. Somehow Darkseid gets the ability to jump between realms in the DC universe, and he goes to hell and he starts kicking everybody's ass in hell. And he goes to the dark side of the moon. There he fights Eclipso. He kicks Eclipso's ass. And the action is pretty epic, let me tell you. And Wes Craig, although his art style is not as clean as the Sam Perez, he does a great job of illustrating the cosmic and the action and all the cosmic aspect, and you know it's very epic. And I'm stoked to see Darkseid kicking ass this way. I'm really stoked. And even though I didn't know that Darkseid had the power to do this, but that miracle machine that he was building gives him the ability and the power to do this to the Hell denizens and Eclipso. And eventually he finds what he's looking for, and he was looking for the Spectre. And this is another red flag that jumps at me, that is raised. For some reason, Eclipso had Jim Corrigan, the Spectre human part, chained in his attic or something. And the most powerful beings in this universe, they appear and they tell Darkseid, what are you doing? Why are you acting like this? What's going on with you? You have your place in the DC universe. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to bond with the Spectre? The Spectre is God's wrath. You can't do that. And the miracle machine makes it possible for Darkseid to bond with the Spectre, and the Spectre's crying like a little bitch, something I never thought I would see. And And you got to understand, I know the history of these characters, so I know for a fact that the Spectre is not a being that is gonna be trapped in some attic, and but he's bonded and he's trying to. This green captions is the Spectre talking to Darkseid, telling him, what you're doing is wrong. The DC universe has a structure, and we must follow the structure. We must follow those rules, and don't do this. You have your place in it. Why are you doing this? You should be happy with it. You're gonna be okay. You're just having some kind of tantrum, some kind of reaction to what's going on in the DC universe, and Darkseid just ignores the fuck out of the Spectre, and he separates himself from the Spectre, and he dies, and then he's reborn, just like Orion had said earlier in the other story, and he creates his own dark universe where the superheroes like Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are gonna be uh, those people, but just in name. Their backgrounds, their stories, their origins are gonna be completely different. Their motivations, they're gonna act more like bad guys, and that's where we see the other side. That's when Booster Gold comes in through the portal, and that's when things come together basically, and we see Booster Gold seeing the same thing he saw in the other half of the story, the distorted Earth, the giant Darkseid, and there it is, and his legion of distorted superheroes, and that's basically it, man. That is All In Special, setting up the All In movement, the absolute universe, where from all indications, according to this comic book, this special, Darkseid is gonna be the god of that universe. It's gonna be a dark universe. It's gonna be a very unconventional universe where Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, The Flash, and everybody else that shows up in that universe is just a type of bizarro, or flip on your face type of universe. So from all indications, Batman, absolute Superman, absolute Wonder Woman, those, let's not expect those versions of those heroes to be the versions we know from the regular DC universe. All in all, man, from a scale of 1 to 10, I gave this All In Special a very solid 8. Even though I have a lot of concerns, I have a lot of questions, and the writers are breaking a lot of rules and stuff, it's very epic in scope, and I like that. I like that Darkseid was kicking ass. He's one of my favorite supervillains, and it's setting up a lot of exciting stuff. And for the most part, this special was free of the messaging and wokeness and shit like that. And there was some of it, and I pointed out to it, but it's very minimal. In this particular special, story was first, and I appreciate that from Snyder and Williamson. Guys, that's my review. That's my breakdown. Thanks for listening. Hope you like my channel. Please subscribe. Give me likes, or if you don't like what I said, give me dislikes. Just interact with me, please. Give me a follow, and thanks for listening. Peace.